welcome back. Hopefully you didn't feel shortchanged by the last video, but we pretty much knew that it was going to be, at the point we finished, a 40-minute long video. So you'll forgive the part 2. But this is part 2 to the Boss GX-10 video. Since the last video, I have tested it in the wild. I've had to use another guitar on it because the guitar I used in the last video has broken in the time since. I'm blaming the full moon. Yeah, I mean, also at this point, if anybody knows, I'm baffled. The bridge pickup was going loud, quiet at a rehearsal. I get home and I look and I thought I'll just tweak the bridge height, the pickup height. I literally turn that screw half a turn, it's dead. Gone, nothing. So I've got bridge pickup, I've got neck pickup and no bridge pickup. Great. So I've had to rethink on guitar for live use unless I can get it fixed. Not the end of the world. You just choose another one. Yes, let me know. Can turning that make it stop working? Was it like already maybe dead at the rehearsal by the end, and then I've just the turning of the screw is neither here nor there? Please do. I mean this in all seriousness. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. I've had a look inside. I'm not going there. I'm gonna pay a professional to look at that. Anyway, back to the important stuff while you're here. The Boss GX-10. Where did we get to? We did the rig. We sort of chose the amp. I told you where I was going to put that in. I can show you that today. I think it's going to be a bit quicker today in terms of getting to the information. Oh yeah, one other thing. The bit you heard some music hopefully at the top of the video. The power of editing. That was one of the 3 rigs that we are going to reveal, we're going to explore today. It was either the Boss into the Fender Blues Junior, or it was the Boss with the amp sim directly into Logic, or it was my old pedal board looking sad in the corner of the room into the Fender Blues Junior. And obviously all of that has been recorded. So there, I've got 3 performances. You've seen one of them. I'm going to show you all 3 at the end. But if you want to guess which one that was at the top of the video, could have been any of them. No clues. Please stick it in the comments. And while you're there, while you're tatting, give us a like on the video. Cheers. And subscribe and join us for the ride. It's not a Boss GX-10 channel. But I've realised with YouTube what I want to do going forward, and I know what Lucy, the other half of the Pinfields, who's behind the camera there, you can't see her, wants to do, is make content about stuff that we are genuinely enthused by. I think that is a general rule of thumb for anything in life. Without further ado, let's get straight into where I put the amp sim in the rig that I made. If you have a look down here, you'll notice that I've renamed it Matte Rig. How interesting. You'll notice that the rig is the same. Orange compressor doing that funky little parallel compression technique that I revealed in the first video. Then we've got the clean boost, the Centaur, the Klon overdrive, the trem, the foot volume, then the amplifier, more on that in a second, the space delay, space echo, the delay, the reverb plate, I've changed that a little bit, the EQ, I can't remember whether I said about the EQ, what I did with that. Basically I have done a little bit more on that. Then I tried a noise suppressor because I'd been working with somebody on their Boss GX-10. Consulting, if you will. But it wasn't consulting because that would be very, very boring. And one of their patches actually really benefited from just dragging the noise suppressor down onto the, what do you call it? I was going to say timeline. It's not a timeline. It's the rig line, if you like. And I thought, well, I'll stick it on mine and see if it makes a difference. Friends, it did not make a difference. It made it monumentally worse. I couldn't, at that point, like if I stick something on there, right, and it makes it worse, basically I go, get rid of it. I'm not going to then dig into it for half an hour to try and make it good. That's just the way my brain works. If I put it on and it sounds bad, then I'm just going to get rid of it. So the noise suppressor is on there, as you can see, not being used. Let's look at the things that are different in reverse order, going back to the amplifier that I chose for this little beauty. So the EQ I added, and you can see here, right, a couple of things. And I'll be honest with you, dear viewer, I did cheat. Once I'd recorded the pedal board and the Boss GX-10 to amplifier, so in other words, all the stuff going through the amplifier, I did the amp sim last. And there was a definite kind of thing that I could do that I thought, well, that'll improve it. And all that was remove some low mid, so 315 hertz, and I did minus 3 dB at 1 Q, which I think is a broad Q. So in other words, it's not like I'm gouging 315 out. I'm just doing a gentle removal of 315. The woolly stuff, right? Getting rid of that to clean up the tone. The other thing that I did, I should also say that helped with the rig into the amplifier. So I then re-recorded for you the trouble that I go to, friends. I re-recorded the Boss to the amp with that setting. So on the Boss to amp and the amp sim from the Boss, you'll hear that. Well, maybe you won't, but I could hear the difference that minus 3 dB at 315 made. The other thing was low cut 160, so a little bit higher. And the high cut, I think, at 8 was how it was. Now, on the Boss, you've got a global external EQ, which I was shown how to use, or rather, I learned how to use the global EQ. We'll just quickly do this while we're talking about EQ in amp stuff. My old guitar teacher, Simon Lees, a fellow Wolfrunian, like an amazing player, you know, probably the best, you know, certainly like of the handful of great players that I've sat in front of, he is right up there, like an amazing player. Check him out. He showed me, because he's a Boss guy as well, and he's been doing Boss for years, even before I thought of doing it. He's had them all, I think. You know, you could ask him about that, which you could do in our interview, because that we'll hopefully do an interview with him soon. That was a big comma, wasn't it? Back to the main thrust of the sentence. He always said, correct me if I'm wrong, Simon, that, you know, on your global EQ, cut some low end and cut some high end. So you can do that as follows, basically the global EQ. I can't remember where we did this last time, but if you don't know this and you're only watching this video, here you go. It's an amazing thing to do, and it will actually, look how bored Buck is. Have a look. She's incredibly bored.
Oh, girl.
Where's the other one? Anyway,
hey, baby.
Back to it. The global EQ, right, which is something I learned, as I say, off. I think he's got a video about this, so go and have a look for it. Or maybe I'll link to it if I remember. But in-out settings, do you see where I did that, right? I'll do that again. Menu, in-out settings, global EQ. And here, all I've done, scroll to the bottom, low cut, 100 hertz, high cut, now you're going to think that's nuts, right? 5 kilohertz, 5,000 hertz, 5K. So that is like a crazy high pass, low pass, high pass, depending on which way you look at the camera. If you're standing ahead, it'll be the other way around. Low pass, high pass filter. And that, just trust me on that, will improve your life. Back to the rig. After the EQ, okay, yeah. So I plugged my pedal board in and realised that actually the reverbs that I like are lengthy reverbs, right? But You know, so almost like if you're going to have reverb, let's have something monstrous and huge, but let's dial the actual mix of it down or EQ it in a way so it doesn't take over. You'll probably listen to my examples and think that I've used too much reverb, but I'm actually just getting back into reverb after a couple of years of using none. So you'll forgive me. Or just enjoy it. It's lovely. On the reverb, what we've got here, it's a modulating reverb. I'm going to take back what I said about the reverbs being the weakest point. I think they're fine. They are actually totally usable, cool reverbs. I'm on the plate setting with the mod engaged, modulation, rate and depth. You can see I've got 50 on the rate and 60 on the depth. It is really nice, really nice. Nothing else going on there. Then we come down and, or rather we go up, and we've got plate 6-second reverb. That was as long as I felt was appropriate for this. So I always tend to go on the longer side and then dial the mix back. Or, as I did, you see the mix is 100% here. But on the day, 10 minutes ago when I recorded the guitars, actually I had the level at 80, which I'll grant you is still quite a lot of reverb. And the main thing then is this line, this second line. This, with any reverb, right, is where, you know, that is the difference between the reverbs that you love on guitar sounds and on records and your own attempts at reverb. Pre-delay. Turn it up. Keep turning it. I'm not going to talk about what pre-delay is. Go and have a look at it. 90 milliseconds. So you can see just by the dial, right, on that pre-delay, that is nearly as... That's nearly halfway. That's nearly half as much as the boss will allow you to do. The low cut is halfway. I've cut the lows to 500 hertz. So a good chunk of that reverb is gone there, the low end. And the high cut is 2.5K. So actually you've got what I would call quite a narrow band of reverb. And this is not my idea. This is the, you know, a version, my take in this situation of the Abbey Road reverb technique, which was all about that, basically. Slicing off the low, slicing the high, so that you can have length and density and fun with it, like the modulation, without it just eating your guitar sound or your vocal or whatever. Finally, on the timeline, the screen, we have amp. Now, I've actually gone here, right? And that surprised me. I thought, how weird. I thought I'd gone tweed combo. Let's just double check this. I thought I'd gone twin, right? But I've changed that. So I just want to double check that so that I haven't saved anything. Wow, okay. Hell freezes over. In all my previous tests, I chose the twin combo there. And I said, I think in the last video, that the JC120 is great. The twin is good. Great. The deluxe combo is great. The tweed combo is great. The diamond is good. I'm not so much of an AC30 type player. I think that's what that's meant to be. And then going down this end, the natural is cool. That's another Simon Lee's tip. Again, I think he uses a clean, just a transparent amp sound, preamp. So I was like, I'm going to try that because I saw that in one of his videos. And what do you know? It works great. If you want just something less coloured, really cool. Boutique is great. That was actually my sort of third choice. Didn't bother with any of them. And I honestly thought I'd put the twin combo as the one, but I hadn't. So actually I recorded what you will hear, or what you have heard maybe, we don't know yet, is the tweed combo, which I suppose when you consider that I'm using a Blues Junior, that makes sense, doesn't it? Because like this whole process has been led by my ears, right? as with anything in music, you know, you don't like, you listen to music and you should listen to this stuff. You shouldn't worry about where stuff is on the dial or what it is you're listening to. Like, if you like the sound of it, go with it. So the Tweed combo is the one that I used. And you can see bass 70, middle 50, treble 60, presence 20. All the rest done normal. I did not even see that layer of the menu. Mic type. So I've mic'd it with a 57, which is pretty similar to that. I wonder if they've got like the Sennheiser type. 906, have they got that? No. Not to worry. So I mic'd it with a 57 at a short distance. Yep. Mic position 5 centimeters. Mic level 100. Yeah. So there you go. Didn't even know that was there, gang. You learn something new every day. That's the amplifier. The Tweed combo. Genuinely shocked by that. Didn't think I'd use it. There you go. So that is the rig that turned out to be the well, you know, like, I'm not trying to do a clone exactly, but playing wise, gave me something that felt like the rig that I used. So before we go and just have a listen to the three, I'm not sure how we're going to do this. We'll do some kind of edit where you can go, or maybe I tell you what, go and listen to them now. Here are put some headphones on, because you know your phone maybe is not going to give you what you need. Stick some headphones on, go and listen to the three. They're coming up now, so just stay here. Listen to the three excerpts, and then we'll come back and I'll conclude, and I'll tell you which one was which. thanks for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed those. If you liked the music, that is one of my songs. It's like a little edit of one of mine and Lucy's songs. I'll leave a link to the album that is from in the description. It's a song called String. Go and have a listen to it. It's a great record, if I do say so myself. Anyway, before I tell you what the results are, I know you're dying to know, I'm sorry, but you know how TV works, the magic of TV. We've just come back from commercial break, and you want the results of the phone in, sure. But first of all, I need to tell you about what's on tomorrow night. And I mentioned that my guitar had broken, so I'll tell you which one replaced it. Fortunately, I have another Telecaster, arguably a better Telecaster, which if you are friends of the channel will know is the Baja Tele from 2014, custom shop designed. I'm trying to get the builder of this on the channel because I'd love to talk to him about it. It's got the S1 switch. And actually this, again, it's been full moon. This also felt like it was going to cut out at one point. So I've gone from 2 teles to 0 teles. It's still okay, but basically this was the guy. It still has a bridge pickup. It's got the brass saddles, which I'm reliably informed by a very wise man is the way to get your tele to ring. And it is a better guitar. The pickups are more balanced. Like, I prefer them to the humbuckers, in the studio at least. And that's, you know, obviously that's what it is. So that is what you heard on the playing that you just listened to. The rest of the rig was the same. You know the pedal situation, and the amplifier you know as well. We went through that in the first video. Go and have a look. Blues Junior settings detailed previously. So we've talked about the process. I've bored you to death with that. And we have listened to the examples. Brilliant. The magic of TV. So let's smash through the results. And basically, you can have a look up here if you don't believe me. I could probably show you. Should I take this camera? And A, right, was, you see that? The GX-10 Sim. So A was that guy and nothing else into old Logic. B was the Boss, I've just killed the suspense there, Boss GX-10 into the Fender Blues Junior. And C was my old pedal board, as you probably just saw. You probably saw it on the first pathetic attempt at a camera zoom from me. The pedal board, the Crowther Hotcake, the Line 6, actually it wasn't Line 6, it was Crowther Hotcake, it was Keeley Compressor, it was Line 6, MXR Carbon Copy, Cathedral Reverb into the Blues Junior. So what do you think about that? You know, I hope you put your thoughts in the comments. I hope you didn't cheat and say, yeah, I knew the amp was C, warmer. Send comment. I'd love to know what you thought. Maybe you think they're all terrible. In which case, sorry. Do come again. I'll do some high gain stuff. So let's talk about the results. So the pedal board was the last thing that I tested. And I was like, oh man, there's no comparison, is it? The pedal board is better. And then I listened back and I was like, it's not better at all. There's certain elements of the sound that I prefer with the pedal board, for sure. There's certain things that are completely specific to pedals like the Crowther Hotcake that really, you know, unless they model a Crowther Hotcake, you know, that is a pedal that I've had for 15 years. I'm so used to the sound of that pedal, and I guess it's like, you know, a comfortable pair of shoes, isn't it? You immediately humans like familiarity, don't they? And they look for that, and then we definitely look for those things in the guitar sounds that we make. So I'm not going to say that the pedal board was better. It was the last thing that I plugged in, as I say, and it was like, oh man, that's so cool. But also I haven't been on that pedal board for nearly, until today, 3 months. You know, and certainly since I got that in December, I've not been on it. So maybe there is an element of like, I've just been listening to that, and then you plug in something that isn't that, and it's like, oh, cool, it sounds different. And different to, as any mix engineer will know, different often makes you think better. It's not the case, you know, it's just different. So that's that, right? Now, obviously, what's cool about this is, well, there's loads of things that's cool about the Boss GX-10. Having used it in the wild, it's like completely flexible for live performance. So I did the thing of the presets for the set that I'm playing it for, and it just worked perfectly. It was super stable. I had it on all afternoon for 4.5 hours. No problems, no crashes, no glitching out. So on that, you know, bring that into it as well. That's a huge, huge positive. And just the fact that I know those sounds are going to be exactly the same. You know, the knobs aren't going to have moved or, you know, changed, or the voltage in the venue or things like that. That's huge. Specifically, let's talk about sounds. All of the effects that I was replicating from my board into the Boss GX-10 were completely cool out of the box. I've done some tweaking to make this exercise more interesting for you, dear viewer. But as far as like, are they just usable straight away? 100% usable. Am I going to go back to the pedal board? I think, you know, it doesn't hurt to have both things at your disposal. If somebody else was carrying my equipment, would I just have a bigger board with the Boss GX-10 on and all that junk? Yep, haven't got a roadie at the minute, so we all know what's going to happen for foreseeable live performance. It's going to be the GX-10. Specific kind of sound things that I noticed, particularly talking with regards to the amp sim. The amp sim is not something, so you can take or leave this. The amp sim is not something that I spent nearly as long looking into as I did the pedal board setup, because I needed the pedal board straight away. I got it out of the box. That was the first thing I did it for. The amp sim, really, the first time I've gone into it in any detail is for this thing, this video. So I've found that the clean amps are certainly out of the box, like quite mid-range focused, or they're not, right? So it's like either quite pokey in the mid-range or scooped. That's easily sorted though. The twin I picked because it felt a little more scooped in the mids, a bit, or rather more neutral in the mids than the other models that I tried. But then, as you know, I just surprised myself. I actually ended up with the tweed model, which was not neutral or scooped. It was, you know, it was the opposite of that. And then I've just dialed it back a little bit, or brought the bass and the treble up, you know, to compensate. Other than that, obviously the functionality of the board itself, as far as the stomp element and the pedal, a lot of people don't like on-board expression pedals. I'm down with that. I like it. I don't usually have one on the board, so it is a little bit of a novelty for me. In the usage case for live, I'm literally using up and down to go through the banks, and a tap tempo here. And I didn't feel the need once, because I've considered the sounds that I'm using. I didn't feel the need once to go, oh, I wish I could turn off that overdrive. I've just got it in another patch. For this rig, the ability to turn off the overdrive, the trem, and the space delay, and then the effect level of the reverb on the pedal, was more than enough functionality. More than enough. Like, I can think of many examples, many situations where you might want more, but you could. There's a bigger one, isn't there? The GX-10. At that point, it's up to you. I'm just telling you from my end, right? For this, certainly, little exercise, this journey that we've been on, getting that sound, let's call it my signature sound. The signature sound. The GX-10 was fantastic. It did everything that I needed it to, and I didn't even touch the switches, to be brutally honest. And in a studio situation, I wouldn't, is the other thing to say. Particularly use it like that. So there you go. What an interesting journey. Genuinely one of the most fascinating little experiments that I've done since starting the channel. I hope it's been interesting for you. If you have any questions about the things that I've gone through in this video, stick them in the comments. Let's have a little discussion about that. If you want me to make any other Boss GX10 videos, any specific things that you want to find out or otherwise, let me know and I can do that. I'm probably going to make some more on this great machine because it's fun. I've enjoyed it. So there you go. Thanks for watching, folks. See you next time.